Welcome to What's Your Story, where we, Jamie Marco,
and Stan Brown.
delve into the extraordinary lives of everyday people.
Listen in as we uncover the unique tales that shape who we are.
One story at a time.
Hey, let's get ready to explore today's story.
Let's do it. Hello, dog.
Oh, hello, Jamie.
God, I must say, you're getting really good at this.
It's just I'm a natural.
I think you are. I think that you missed your calling many moons ago, but I'm so glad.
Oh, no one called. Are they calling now? Answer the phone. I'm here.
I have this annoying cough. I am laughing though. I have this annoying cough.
It's a lemon.
So, did you try, by the way, just call back to another podcast. Did you try the salsa?
Not yet.
Okay, I tried the salsa. So Julie, the other
What'd you
Julie,
put it on?
I actually just ate it like on a cracker.
Oh,
But then I did make a hot dog for my daughter and had some on the hot dog as well too. I just tried the original. No, I tried the spicy. Very good. So another Julie. So today we're interviewing a different Julie. We had like so many Julies, by the way.
this is actually Julie Week.
I think it might be Julie Week. But the salsa is so good, and it made me remember this because I have this thing that she sends with it, salsa deviled eggs, which I love a good deviled egg. Like I love a good deviled egg.
Now you even made what you like even better.
But what's interesting is that when we met with Olivia and Simone, Olivia had talked about some deviled eggs. So I think we do like some deviled eggs this week. What do you think?
I think we might the devil in coming up to Halloween.
Oh my gosh, can we not even talk
He may
about
make a
it?
personal appearance.
Well, this episode's happening after
Actually,
Halloween.
he's pretty well committed for the rest of the year.
Well, again, this episode is happening after Halloween. So
Ooh,
I think that he did not come.
I can't unsay it. I can't unsee him.
Well, what you don't want to say three times is you know what, right?
You know what? You know what? You know what I'm saying.
You know, we do record these.
Such a good audience.
No, I am. We do record these in advance, listeners. So sometimes, based on my schedule and my dad's busy retirement schedule, we record them in advance and then we release them sometimes a couple weeks later or even longer than that. But today I'm a little on edge because there's some big news coming from our family. As you know, we don't mention her name, not like she's like Beetlejuice, but I just don't. But my daughter will find out today. She was in an election for a club at school, and we'll find out today whether or not she got that position. And it just was so interesting because one of the other moms whose daughter also ran, not against my daughter, had texted me saying, you know what, are you on, pins and needles? Do you feel like you also ran for this position? And it's so funny to see like how when you're a parent, how the emotion that you feel is so strong for things that you do, but how much stronger it is for your kids. So you have three girls. You must have just been like running ragged all the time, like for the crap we brought home.
I'm a dish rag.
I mean, it's a lot to deal with that. I do remember, I will give you an interesting little story I had. So we were talking the other day. She just had her heart a little broken by a boy she's had a crush on for, gosh, the last 3 years. And he was just not kind to her at school the other day. He had bought her a gift and then he said to her, I know, he said to her at school, I didn't buy it for you. My mom bought it for you. And it was like, oh, she came home. She was just in tears. And one of the other little girls
Couldn't have been just really informative.
I don't know. And the other little girl was like, he doesn't have a crush on you anymore. It was horrible. And like, they're 9. It's horrible to navigate that. But I do remember a time when I came home and I was in so much grief that a boy had broken my heart. And you just sat with me on the couch and let me cry.
Oh,
I know,
thank
Daddy.
you.
I love that. I mean, like, I remember that. Like, those are things that, so whether you think,
And there was a water stand on the couch for years. We commemorated that
yeah,
event.
but it goes back to like parenting. It is not a job for it's a very hard job. And today we get to talk with my friend Julie, who has 2 incredible kids. She's just released a book that she wrote with her
Did
kids.
she hear us now?
She can't hear us, but I think we just welcome her in because she's a phenomenon. I don't think I've ever had like a full conversation with her before. We know each other through speaker groups and through different things, but every time I see her speak or every time I've just even witnessed her, what she posts online, she's an incredible
You have
human.
piqued my interest.
Okay, well, let's bring in our another Julie into the group. Here we go. She's amazing. Listen, everyone we get to talk to is just incredible, and the stories are just so interesting and fascinating.
What's
Just
her last
knows us,
name?
Henry.
It's like
So
the candy
there
bar.
she is.
Oh, Henry! Oh, Henry Candy, come on. Injured.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't really there.
We're recording. We were just talking about you, and I was saying that we've met like I think once in person, right? Just one.
I think so, but I feel like I've just known you forever.
I know, right? And I was just saying that like you're amazing. And I was just talking about your most recent incredible debut with your children and how you've written this book. And we'll get there. But I was telling my dad, I brought him back to my daughter just had like this first heartbreak story, and she's 9. And this little boy like just broke her heart, which
Does
like
she have to give the ring back?
yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, so I told my dad that I remembered a story when I was probably like maybe a little bit older, 14, and normally my mom was the one to comfort us, but I came home and I was just in tears and I just gave him a compliment. I said, I remember the time that you comforted me in that moment. So, parenting, not for the weak of heart.
On the
You're doing
job
an amazing
training.
job.
All
Yeah.
right.
We'll get there because your kids are, grown and just what you've done with them is amazing. So, but before we even get there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever our listeners are listening to this. We like to start our podcast off with a question. Do
Okay.
you want to ask?
Yeah, put the vodka down, please.
It's 5 o'clock.
Is that obvious?
No.
The alien question?
Will you stop? So Julie, this is my dad's Stan. There you go.
Oh, Henry!
Woohoo!
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being it's the best day you've ever lived, you don't have a worry in the world, which I know, listen, you're an entrepreneur, you're right. You've got kids, you got life. So maybe not a 10. I'm never a 10.
Hmm.
To a 1 being a day that you should not have gotten out of bed today because your emotional contagion would not be good for the rest of the humans in this
That's
world.
so much
I
information.
know. What is your number right now?
And remember, 10 is actually a composition of 1 and
Oh
0.
my God, stop.
Sorry.
My gosh, I have to say that I wish my dad was here because I was just talking about meeting with him, but if he were here, I would tell him too. My number is 8.
Oh, I
Mm.
love it. All right. So what would it take for you to go from an 8 to an 8.25?
Oh, probably having a conversation with my daughter who's away at college.
Oh, I love
You can
that.
dial her up right now.
Yeah, she's actually here. Come on now.
This is this is your queen for a day.
Well, and you just got to spend some time with her in your book launch, right? You were together. I saw some pictures. I think you were together, right?
Yeah, people keep saying to me like, "Oh my gosh, do you miss her?" I'm like, "I do," but sweet thing, she keeps coming back because we have all these book things happening, which is great. So, that I'm blessed to see her, and she's only an hour and a half away at Florida Gulf Coast anyway.
Oh, I love that. In Naples. I love that.
Mhm.
Well, listen, you didn't get to just becoming an author like overnight. So tell us, where did you grow up? Did you grow up here in Florida?
Chicago.
Oh, in Chicago.
Uh,
Oh, that's common. Well, I didn't grow up there, but I lived there. But go ahead.
right. I'm a fifth generation Chicagoan, so
Ooh.
I
Ooh.
was way back through my dad's side of the family. I'm very proud of that fact. My great great grandfather started by unloading sugar off the back of trucks for the Wrigley Company, and then ascended the ladder. And so, yeah, we go way back as Chicagoans.
That is so cool. What part of Chicago were you in?
Southside.
South suburbs, Homewood Floss, where my dad worked for the steel mills. So he worked Gary, Indiana, and back when industry.
Gary, Indiana.
Stop.
I sing the song. I got it. I
You
got
know
it.
it. Go ahead, Dad. Go. Oh, my
Gary,
own child.
Indiana, Gary, Indiana, Gary,
Gary,
Indiana.
Indiana. I got
Whatever
you.
you do, don't say Niagara Falls.
That's the next part of my story.
That is so cool. My daughter's doing a science project on gum, and we just gave her a whole talk about Wrigley and
Oh,
talking about that the other day. So that's so interesting. So you grew up in Chicago, you lived there, and do you have siblings as well too that you grew up there with?
yeah, I'm the oldest of three. So I have a sister who's 4 years younger, and then my brother is 8 years younger than me. So yeah, I grew up there until I was 10, and then Steel Mills moved us to Cleveland.
Wow.
Oh, okay. So staying in the Midwest though, no wonder you're such a nice person. You've got that Midwestern vibes. Like, it's true. The Midwestern vibes are very different than anywhere else. Very cool. So at 10 you moved, that's like fifth grade or fourth grade?
Yeah, it was February 10th, 1984. I'll age myself. So it was
Ooh.
fourth grade, and the river had recently caught on fire. And I remember
Ooh.
saying to my dad, like, "This is so uncool. I can't believe you're moving us to Cleveland." And then I fell in love with it. I love Cleveland. It was a great place to grow up. It's a great place to learn to water ski on the Great Lakes,
Ooh, well, Cleveland rocks, right? Thanks to Drew Carey.
for sure.
Right? Amazing. I love that. And so you're staying in the Midwest, you're there, and so you're in Cleveland. And how long were you in Cleveland for?
I was there. I graduated high school outside Cleveland, and then went to college at Miami of Ohio. So I was Midwest all through my formative years.
Wow. And what did you go to school for?
I went to school for zoology. I really, really I dissected a shark when I was in high school, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I had a great high school teacher. In fact, the one of the dedications to the new book is to my Westlake High School teacher, Mr. Uhl. I'll shout him out because I'll pass this along to him. But yeah, I really wanted to be in science, and so I went to school to be a scientist, and then I learned real quickly the two paths were either go into being in the medical field or into research. And I tried both of those through internships and I didn't like them.
No buzz, no buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not for me. I wasn't good at either one of them and I was bored in both of them. It wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough for me. And God bless all the people that do those careers. I'm so glad for you, but it was not the right path for me. And that's the only way you can only learn that through
No
trying.
question. It's the benefit of internship, sure.
I think it's really fascinating that you were in the Midwest in Ohio, not near any oceans, dissecting sharks. Incredible. I was in Florida near many oceans and we dissected pigs. So definitely got the cooler end of the stick.
I can still smell it from
Oh,
here.
the formaldehyde. Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh.
gosh.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
for
baby
sure.
pigs. It was so, I can still remember that. But
For sure.
that's so cool that you got a chance to do that and to, fall in love with that. And then did University of Miami, Ohio have a special zoology program? Like, are they known for that?
I don't know. I really, back in the 90s when I went to college, a lot of the schools just had biology programs, and I didn't want to study biology, it's too broad. So, yeah, Miami had zoology, which was specifically the study of animals. And I was so fascinated by it. So I was really happy to go there and had absolutely amazing professors who understood what I wanted to do. Because eventually I realized, wait a minute, there's this really cool intersection. I had a really formative experience of doing research and counting fish eggs at 3 o'clock in the morning, actually down here at Mote Marine Laboratory. And I was so fascinated looking under the microscope for the first time and realizing that you can see the spine as it's developing in the fish egg. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's fish eggs and
No more caviar for me.
there's spines. Yeah. And my fellow intern people were like, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. We'd really like to go home. Can you just do your job? I was like, but this is so, oh, I'm supposed to be like teaching people about the ocean. Like, I'm not supposed to be doing research. And ironically, I have to share this with you. My dad was with me because he was a leadership development guy. That's how I got into all of this when he was in
Oh,
the
no
steel mills.
way.
The steel mills actually, his steel mill in 1985 went bankrupt. And at that time, it was the largest filing of bankruptcy in the history of our country. And so in 1985, I watched my dad construct this career with three kids at home. My mom helped him. The assistant was my mom. Like, and that was back in the day, before you didn't just like throw up a website and get a mailing
Or
list.
what? Yeah. Yeah.
You were like making flyers and he was
Or
answering
knocking.
yeah, answering the payphones when we are on vacation. Like, I think I might be able to squeeze you into the seminar. And I'm like, you have like two people registered, Dad. You're lying. And he was like, shh. So I watched him construct this career. That's how I learned about all of leadership. But anyway, so then when I was doing science, he's like, I want to learn too. So he came with me at 3 o'clock in the morning. He was counting fish eggs with me under a microscope. And I was like, well, I need to stitch these worlds together.
That is so cool. Well, wow. So you got to see, I mean, like you were really young when that happened to him. You were like 11 years old because it was right after you moved to Cleveland, it sounds like.
Yeah.
You moved and then that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. And I watched, it was so brave of him and my mom, to both go in it together and say like, okay, they can try to get another job, but he really wanted to go out on his own. And so I watched him do that in middle school, high school. And then when I was 17, my parents decided that we could all go on a business trip with dad because he was traveling. And so we didn't see him sometimes. And so my first business trip with my father was at 17 years old, Mobile, Alabama. I was sitting in the back of a training room. It was an airplane parts manufacturing company. And
Super sexy.
super sexy, right? They had just come off a year-long strike. So we had management sitting on one side of the room and everyone else sitting on the other side of the room. And my dad, I'm in the back, and my dad stood at the front of the room and he said, okay, the first step to building team camaraderie and really thinking about how you can move forward as an organization is to create a positive environment. And I watched these people just do this and sit back in their chairs. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be really hard. How's my dad going to don't be mean to him? But he was magic up there. And so I really did honestly learn at his feet. And we still work together these days, which is fun.
I love that. Where did he get that from? Because like, what was his role in the steel company? What was his role
His
there?
role was quality. He's an engineer by trade and then got his MBA. So his role was quality control in the company. So Dr. Deming, if you're familiar, Dr. Deming, he was the person who revolutionized quality in the 40s after World War II. And so he taught statistical process control and
Wow.
total quality management, TQM, those two basically frameworks. And so he just took that and then applied it and then built that out into leadership and change and all the above. So I still have that as my formative root in my work too. I reflect back on that.
I love that. It's interesting because that's like using both his left and right brain there, right? So there's like, and then finding that fusion in between, which is not always an easy crossover.
Yeah.
So it's incredible. It must have been in his DNA, which passed to you. Now, do your siblings also work in the same leadership space as well too?
No, not at all. Yeah. And well, and I have to tell you, like, both my dad and I share the fact that when he's an extrovert, like the extrovert, the president of the fraternity, the president of the senior class. Yeah, all of that. But he would still get really nervous when he spoke. And so when he was in high school, my grandmother sewed washcloths into his shirt and he would like sweat through
Shut
them,
up. That is hilarious. Oh
which
my
I think is
God.
so funny. So the funny thing about me is if you look at a picture of me in preschool, I was like very serious,
Really?
very like I'm introverted by nature. Like I could just hang out in a hammock all day long and be totally fine.
Yeah.
But when you get passionate about something, you get really excited about it.
Yeah.
So we kind of meet in the middle. But yeah, no, my sister's in marketing and my brother, I mean, they're both in leadership roles, but neither of them, my brother's in the medical field. So both of them lead, but they don't teach leadership necessarily. So it's my dad and I going to I'm not steel plants these days, limestone plants going underground 1,500 feet into mine and wearing steel-toed boots. And then I get to bring him into my world and we go to aquariums and zoos and we tell stories back and forth and we hook
That is
people.
the best. Well, I can understand how awesome and special it is because when we started this, it's just been a really cool project that we get to do together as well too. And you're very lucky to have that because it's such a special relationship. So I can understand that completely. I love it. So you go to college, you are there, and then did you do an internship at Mo or you after you graduated, then you like where's that connection? Like how do you get to Florida?
Yeah. So yeah, by the time I did an internship at an ophthalmologist's office and it was interesting and boring at the same time. So I was like, next plan. And so my parents moved to Florida because my mom said, John, if you're traveling all the time, let's move someplace um, that's not cloudy 30 days in
Yeah.
a row.
It can probably be outside all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so they came down here and we had vacation down here as a kid. And so my sophomore year in college, my parents said, why don't you come down here and intern at Mote Marine Laboratory and you can live here? And I was like, sure, that sounds great. So I did two internships here and then I did an internship at Cincinnati Zoo because I wanted to try the zoo thing. I love that zoo. But then after college, I really needed to work at my hometown aquarium at Shed Aquarium because those are my roots. So I worked there for almost 3 years, and then I was realizing that I love still. It's like one of my favorite aquariums. But I really wanted to be, well, closer to family, but I wanted to be closer to where the science was happening. I wanted to see, like, if I'm going to tell a story about resilience and sea turtles using how they stick with it and use that as an analogy for how we need to stay connected to our purpose. Like I want to see what a sea turtle looks like when she comes up and lays her nest as people are tagging her, scientists, and I just want to see it. I want to be close.
Oh, cool.
So Mote Marine Laboratory, at that time, well, there were what, 30 of us ish at Shed Aquarium's education department, and Mote Marine Laboratory had three people in the education department, the one that I was trying to get into.
Yeah.
So when there was an opening, I was like, I gotta go. Like I wasn't ready to leave Chicago, but I needed to come to Florida and I needed to be at Mote. And then I got stuck in the best way.
So cool. I lived in Chicago for 8 years and Shed Aquarium had this event called Blue. I'm sure you've heard of it, their fundraising event.
Uh-huh.
Incredible. But I always remember it being like in the aquarium section, like or well, obviously it's all aquarium, but like in one section where they were serving sushi, but there was fish. And I was like, I can't. Like this is not whoever planned this event, not a good place to place the food. Like I feel guilty just eating now.
Right? I know. A little on the nose, right?
Yeah. I was like, but what such a great, amazing aquarium. So I said I got to share that with you. So you
Yeah.
come down here, and then that's really where you became like you, right? Like you're known for like the work that you did a couple different places, but Moat is like kind of where you've become more into the work of the science that you're doing. Is that accurate?
Actually, I should tell you that when I was in college, I was studying zoology. I ended up getting another degree at the same time in education because I wanted to learn how to teach. I knew I didn't want to be in a classroom, but I wanted to learn how people learn
Yeah.
because I knew I was going to go into something like training or speaking or et cetera. And my college professor gave me a project, and that project was teach people about coral reefs. That was part of my senior thesis, design a program. And I thought, well, not everyone's going to be interested in science, but if I hook coral reefs to a company, an organization, and talk about the synergies and how people are needed and what roles and how that all diversity and how you need the strength in different numbers, all of those pieces, if I stitch that together, I can hook more people. So that was in 1996. So when I went to Shed, I was the loud person, ironically, because I was so interested. And I said, look, companies will want to come here for retreats because why would they go to the Hyatt when they can come? All due respect to the Hyatt, but why would they go to the local hotel when they could come to the aquarium? And
Yeah.
so a year after I was at Shed, Nabisco has a huge manufacturing plant outside Chicago. And they called the aquarium and said, we want to do a retreat. And they passed the phone call to me. I'm 23 years old. And they passed the phone call to me because I just been the squeaky wheel.
Yeah.
So the person on the phone said, what can you do? And so I literally read them. In fact, I have it right here. I literally read them the outline that I created as a college student. And they said, great, sign us up. And I said, great. So I booked them. And then I ran down the hall to my leaders and I was like, so Nabisco's coming for a team building retreat. I have all the curriculum. I know what we can teach them. I know all the analogies where we can take them to the aquarium to help them learn and think about it differently and really shake the trees and make it
Cool.
meaningful. But I'm
Yeah.
going to need some street cred because I, I'm 23 and I've got a lot of ideas and but not quite as much experience as I think they're going to need.
Sure.
So when I came to Moat, so I just kept doing that. Like I came to Moat and I would companies would come. The Sarasota County government came to Moat and we did a actually with my dad, we did a team building retreat together there. I went to Busch Gardens, same thing, team building retreat. So every zoo and aquarium I was working in, I would say, hey, not just team building, but any kind of lessons from animals.
Yeah.
Let's use that as a hook. And then when I jumped and decided to be a consultant, it was the same thing. Like, I go into commercial insurance companies or banking and like, let me use animals to not only make it more interesting and fun and accessible, but it sticks in your brain, right? Storytelling is the oldest
Yeah.
form of communication for a reason.
Yeah.
So, it was important for me to do right by the science, but it was important for me to make it leadership becomes it becomes lofty sometimes and we think of it as really hard and it's
Yeah.
difficult, but it's not hard. And so I want to make it um, accessible and fun.
I love that. I think it's such a unique take on things. And then now you get this opportunity to tell these stories with your kids. But how did that happen? Like, tell us a little bit about how, I know a little bit of your story, so you can share with as much as you want. My dad knows none of your story, but tell us a little bit about how, like your kids are how, so your daughter's in college, so probably like freshman year, sophomore year.
Yeah, freshman, she just turned 18 last week.
Got it. Oh, amazing. And then your son is younger or older?
He's 16. Yeah, he's
Okay,
a
got it.
junior.
So that in itself, being a parent to teenagers is challenging. But tell us about how, like, you're working in the aquariums, doing those things, then you bring children to the mix. So do they grow up, by the way, like knowing all about animals as well too? They
It's
like, do they have the best life, like the best pets, the best experience? Like, I'm just thinking, like, that'd be so amazing. Like, mom's bringing home a
I
turtle.
bet there's no pets.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Let's see.
Well, I have to tell you that when I was working at Busch Gardens, I was pregnant with my daughter, and we were opening Jungala, which is a large part of Busch Gardens, and we were having this big VIP opening party, and I was a giant pregnant lady. Like I did not do pregnancy small, and
Same.
so
We should compare
we
pictures when we meet or in person because, yeah.
right? And I remember walking through this party, and there was a trainer that had a gibbon, which is an animal that you usually see it at zoos, like swinging from vines, really long arms, really long legs, and just a really great animal. And I mean
Like a
that like,
monkey, kind of like a gibbon's like a monkey.
yeah, yeah. Looks like that.
I hate to
And so
dumb it down for the audience, but
yeah, sorry. It looks like a monkey with doesn't have a tail, so it's an ape. And so this gibbon was on her trainer. It was a young gibbon, and she looked at me, and I have this large shelf in the form of a child that I'm growing, and she literally jumped from the trainer to me and put her arms around my neck and just sat on my belly and just looked up at me and was like, "This is, much more comfortable because I shouldn't have to hold on." And so I'm just looking down at this animal, and I'm sure my daughter was like moving around because I was, oh, I don't know, 7 months pregnant, 8 months pregnant at the time, really pregnant. And and so I tell my daughter all the time, like, you got sat on by a gibbon,
I
you
hope
know.
there's a picture of that. Did you
Oh,
get a picture?
I know I know I don't even know I have to look, but like in the womb, and then so she just has all these really formative animal experiences. When my son was born, I wasn't working in zoos and aquariums, but we went all the time. Like it was just they just it's hard for us to go to a zoo and aquarium now and not just go behind the scenes. Just
Yeah,
out of
what a
habit.
cool. I mean, like, what a great VIP pass for a child. I mean, like, that's amazing. Like, to be able to just. Do you have a favorite animal, by the way, before I forget to ask? Is there a favorite animal of yours?
Oh yeah. My favorite, I have two. I have a land animal and an ocean animal, an
Hey.
aquatic animal. My favorite, I'm a wolf. I love wolves. One day I would like to see a wolf in the wild. I've never seen a wolf in the wild.
Yeah.
There's a Colorado retreat for wolves. We went in the wintertime. It was spectacular.
Oh, see, yeah.
Oh, you have
One
to
of
go.
these.
It's a wolf encounter. It was great.
My dad did it with my sister, and it's like, I'll just send you the pictures, but yeah, amazing.
Oh, see, I mean, yeah, I've seen that. I was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, watching elk, specifically hoping that a wolf would come and prey on the elk, but that didn't happen. Uh,
That's a different take on life
That's different
there.
praying.
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah,
Yeah, the elk would be praying.
yeah, and then I'm a giant squid fanatic. I love giant squid.
Oh, really?
I love both those animals because they have just enough mystery and mystique to be kind of funky, and then just
Have you
enough
seen
like
one in the wild?
familiar. A giant squid? I haven't seen one. No, not necessarily in the wild. I was when I came to Moat, we just had gotten the giant squid, so I helped put on her on exhibit, which was fun. But I haven't seen a giant squid in the wild
Are
either.
they in the Gulf? Gulf of Mexico?
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're in the Gulf, and when they die, they actually float to the surface because of basically what's in their body tissue. So you can see them as they're dying, but you really have to like be in a submarine to go underwater and see them in the wild. The good old-fashioned, Jules Verne submarine.
That is like so cool. So your kids like grow up with
Mhm.
getting these exposure to this incredible animals, all this cool stuff. And then you navigated kind of a thing in your life as well too. Do you want to talk about that?
Um, sure. Yeah. No, well, so my husband was I when I came down to Moat, I Moat's really formative in my life for a lot of reasons. It's where I realized how to stitch things together outside of shed as well. And then I ended up connecting with the man I would eventually marry. He was a scientist at Moat for 30 years. He was in ecotoxicology. And that's important because my daughter last year interned in his lab, which is really, really cool. That was her idea. She graduated high school and wanted to get her first internship, and so she interned in Dad's lab in ecotoxicology.
And
Um,
what is it? Inca, what'd you call it? What's
so ecotoxic, basically, it's
oh,
things that are like oil, things that are natural but are toxic to different creatures. So he studies red tide, for example. He
oh,
studied
oh.
red tide for many, many years. Yeah, and so he ended up dying 2018. He got sick with non-smokers lung cancer. He would want me to say that, qualify that. So he had lung cancer. He got diagnosed when my kids were 3 and 4, 4 and 5. So he fought for 5.5 years. And he died. They were 9 and 10.
Oof.
And that was 2018. And then we hit COVID a year and a half later, which was another breathing, basically, disease. So for a long time, we'd watched people struggle with the ability to breathe, and that was really, really difficult. Um, but coming out, I don't know if you don't come out of that, but that's part of our story. It's part of our story. It's part of our journey. It helps us connect. Sometimes it helps my work from the standpoint that I I feel as passionate about demystifying leadership as I do about telling the truth and keeping it real. So 2 years ago, I led a session on what it's like to lead in deep grief, because you're either going to lose someone close to you or you're going to work with somebody who has. And so that was specific to people who'd lost their parents or their partners. This year, I led a session on what it's like to lead when you're dealing with addiction, when you're addicted to drugs or alcohol, when it's your partner, or when it's your kids. So all of these they sound serious and heavy, and they are, but they're real and they're raw, and things in life don't become easier if we avoid talking about them. And so I feel like it's like the other side of the coin to my work. Like my kids, when we wrote this second book, the youth book, the first book was adult lessons from the wild. That was my senior year college thesis that took 25 years to write because I got some street cred. And then when I wrote that, people said, this is great, but we really want something for young people. And I feel really passionate that young people are leaders like right now. They don't need to learn how to be a leader. We all need to learn how to be a leader, but you don't just become 25 and all of a sudden like, oh, well, now I know what I'm doing. That's not the case.
Right. Well, and it's almost like now it's probably almost too late because at 25, we need them taking bigger leadership roles.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So when we wrote it, we talk about anxiety, we talk about depression, we talk about mental health and how that's connected to whether you have a story like my children's when they lost their dad, whether you have a story like mine and I lost my partner, whether your story is whatever that is, because we have stories, and you're not just a leader 1 minute and a person the next. You're always whole. And if you can bring your whole selves to all of your roles and set boundaries accordingly, don't get me wrong, we need boundaries 100%. But how can you really be whole and allow and create a space for others around you to do the same? So that's what they grew up with. They grew up with us telling the stories and being real. I mean, my husband, the last 8 months of his life, he was on oxygen. And so I woke up one morning and I'm watching this man. He had this long, 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 long oxygen tube, and my daughter's on one side, and my husband's on the other, and they're using the oxygen tube like a jump rope, and my son is in the middle and jumping, and that is such a beautiful memory for me because it's a person that lived as fully as he could every moment, and that legacy for us allows us to lean into that more. And we fall on the floor and we cry as everybody does in their lives, and then you get back up and you keep being as whole as you can.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a lot to go through for you, first of all, as a mom, and then also for them at such a young age, 9 and 10 years old, or at
Well,
least
then
six,
then
7 years
compounded
old.
by the whole COVID crisis. That's
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a lot to go through. You mentioned that you also speak about addiction and dealing with that. What prompted you to talk about that, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no, so basically part of my work is around facilitation, panel moderation, facilitation, and the core of my tenet, my philosophy in everything I do is how can you create a space in which people can feel safe but not comfortable?
Mhm.
And so whether that's in a keynote or whether that's in a training, or what happened is after I ran the session on deep grief last year, I have a good friend and colleague who's in Houston, and she basically came to me and said she's very open about this. She's been very open that she's now I think 11 years of sobriety, but she said, I want to talk about what it's like to deal with alcoholism in a leadership role. Will you help me tell my story? And
Mm.
I
Wow.
said, oh my gosh, I will, if you trust me, I will do as right by you as I can to help you. And so we found someone else who wanted to talk about their two children who are addicts, and then someone else who wanted to talk about discovering that her husband had been a cocaine addict for the last 3 years. But these are real things. So that's what it was prompted by, is by someone's trust, quite honestly, in me and in the process. And how do you create a space to invite people into that conversation? But how do you do right by the people that first give trust to you? And in that case, those were the three panelists I had. I just did that session last week, actually.
Oh, I think that's incredible. And that's the thing is that like, we have been doing this podcast for a year now, fairly new. Actually, we just celebrated a year like 2 weeks ago.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it's happy birthday to you. But the cool thing about it is that like we started this because everybody does have a story. And the more that we get out there and we talk about it's okay to feel the way that you feel, to know, I mean, like to say, oh my gosh, I'm so surprised by that. Well, no, there's so many people that are in your same situation, but if we just start talking about it more, then it
Yeah.
makes people feel more comfortable. Yeah,
Yeah.
you said to feel safe but uncomfortable. Is that what you said?
Safe but not comfortable. Yep. My college USF graduate professor, Dr. Eric Eisenberg, who's amazing. He's still there at USF in Tampa. Yeah, that's what he said in communicating leadership course. Julie, your job as a leader is to create a space in which people feel safe but not comfortable.
I love that. Well, I like to call that like the unconsciously competent, like when you're just sitting there and you're like just going in autopilot, right? You're just there
Right.
in autopilot, and then that's comfort. Like, but why? Nothing changes there, right? So I think that's
Yep.
incredible. I love that you talk about your college professors. So I need to pull on you because my first book is coming out soon, but I reference a college professor as well too, because it really does, there's those voices that you meet in life that just make such a big impact on you. You know, it just is incredible and that you hold those with you. So I love that we have that in common. We have a lot in common. I can't wait to we better watch out like wherever we meet because the energy in that room is going to be like, insane.
For sure.
For sure, 100%. So what do you do? Listen, you've got so much going on. Like you just launched this new book, right, with your kids, which is amazing, and you co-authored that, all three of you together. That process must have been interesting.
Yeah, so I will tell you that when my book publishing company approached me about the next book, and I thought, okay, now's the time. And then coincidentally, it worked out really well that I have two children that are very different from each other and they're complementary, but they lead in totally different ways. They're very different people. And so I said, hey, y'all. Do you want to do this together? And they said, sure, but it's really hard to understand what writing a book is all about in any phase of your life, but
Mhm.
especially when you're, well, at that time, 15 and 17.
Yeah.
And so it was really a great, honestly, Jamie, like, and I mean this sincerely, if we did this and we sell zero books, it
Mhm.
is worth it. Like that beautiful, I will treasure that experience forever. I mean, we could give them all away. Now, thankfully, we've sold some books, so that's great.
Yeah.
We just published it like 2 weeks ago. But honestly, like that time with my children and understanding them and having them understand my world as well, like we met each other on a different level. And that's really what I wanted to do. And so the journey was like, okay, y'all, we have a deadline. And then it would be like, okay, well now we have I have this test, mom, and we have this thing to do in circus. Okay, now and then they'd be frustrated because they didn't want to sit in front of the computer and do more work, which I don't blame them. So it
Yeah.
became like, okay, just voice text it to me. Just actually text it to me.
Just
Send it
message me
on WhatsApp.
somehow.
I'll just interview you and I'll type like whatever we need to do to get this book put together. So it was all of the above. And they also had to learn. I mean, I had five. You have a lot of different editors when you write a book. This one had five. I think my first one had six or seven. Um, and the editor, my lead editor, Erin, she was fantastic. She would work with the kids and just say, "Hey, don't like try not to edit yourself ahead of time. Just write. Write. That's what editors are for. Just
Yeah.
write." And I think was really freeing for them because you get into that mindset in education. You're always trying to do it right. And now they realize like, oh, I'm just trying to communicate an idea and then someone will help me get it right. So it's just a different shift.
Yeah. Well, and it's probably been like cathartic, as you're going through. Like it's only been, what, like 8 years? No, actually not even that long. So 2018, what is that, Matt? Like 7 years. So like you're kind of like navigating them, changing them growing up, and you're still like there for them going through all the different things that have happened in life and navigating that. What do you do for you? Like, how do you balance all that, right? Like, you've got a lot going on. You're a speaker, you're full of energy, you're on fire, you're like just amazing. But I have a feeling that it's not always an 8 day, right? There could be a day or maybe a morning that's a different number. So,
For
how
sure.
do losing a partner, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine what that even does for you, you're just as a person, but then navigating that with two young children as well, too. Like, talk to us a little bit about that process for you, and it may come out in your book, but tell us a little bit how you manage that and then grow forward.
I'm sure it's probably not enough for herself.
Yeah, probably, but let's find out.
Yeah, I don't really write about it too much in the book. In fact, I will say as a little bit of a side note here, it was an interesting thing for me. I didn't realize how much trauma I went through. I will shout out all caregivers that are listening to this because the role of a caregiver is the highest honor that you can have in your life. I truly believe. My husband would sometimes feel really self-conscious, because his body was failing him and things were uncomfortable and I was doing things that I never thought I would take care of someone in that way, but that's what I signed up for. And that's what being a partner is. And I said, look, I'm a science person. So this is, if I get to the point that it's uncomfortable for me, then I'll do something about it. But until then, this is what I'm here for. Um, but the role of a caregiver is difficult as well. And you're watching someone you love die, which is awful. And then no one really tells you that not only do you lose your partner, in this case, it was a long journey of him being sick, but you lose all the people you actually became friends with over those years, like his doctors and his nurses. Like they all, everything went poof. And it was jarring. Like even telling this story, I get goosebumps because like we were with the same oncologist for years. We were with the same nurses for years, the same chemo place, the same, I mean, like everything. And so you lose your partner, and when you're dealing with a long-term illness, the actual death is not the worst part. It's up until then. Like you get to the death, at least for me, and it was like, okay. I don't have to wonder anymore, right? I don't have to wonder what I'm going to do if he stops breathing and I have to figure this out, or what if my kids find him, or like all of Jamie, he would go in for his latest surgery and I would come to the hospital and then go do a keynote and then come back. And then inevitably some well-meaning person would say, I'm about to get on stage, right? Like, but really, how are you doing? I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that you're wanting to show up for me and I appreciate you, but I don't want to talk about it
Yeah, not
because
right
I
now.
gotta get
Yeah.
on the stage. And that's what grief teaches you. I mean, grief, the other part about being a caregiver is you end up caregiving everybody because nobody knows what to do. There's nothing to do. There is nothing to do. I mean, everybody can give you another website, another doctor's, but it's just terrible. And so people don't know what to do. And so you end up like helping them feel better too. And so you're like just caregiving for everybody. And then and I don't mean to, it's just, it's not that it's
But you're,
silly.
you're giving, 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 not really taking in anything.
Well, yeah, because at a certain point, and then when my husband died, and then people would say something, or you just tell stories, and I'm telling this story because what happened to my work is he was how I would relate to people, right? Like I work with a lot of technical audiences, and I would always make a joke about being married to a scientist, or how the communication styles that are different. I mean, you relate to your people as much as you can, and you share some parts about yourself so that you can help create a space where people can share what's uncomfortable for them and whatever. Like it's hard for me to communicate to my boss because they're, whatever, a technical person and I'm a creative person. And so all of a sudden I didn't know how to tell those stories. And because all of a sudden I would say my late husband. Well, now I've just triggered somebody in the audience. Or I would say my former husband. Well, now I sound like I'm divorced. And I would say my husband. Well, am I married? I don't know. This is a weird thing. And then if I ever said my late husband, then someone say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Can I ask you how he died?" Which is the weirdest question. Like people always want to ask me, what
Yeah.
can we do for people who are grieving? And my answer is, don't ask them how their loved one died. Why we do that as a culture, I have really no idea. But you do. Like you don't ask it like if someone says, "I'm divorced," you don't ask, "Oh, what happened? Was he a jerk and cheated on you?" That's not what you ask. Like, so why
I
are
like
you,
that. I like that.
you know,
I don't know. Yeah. But no,
why
you're
are you asked?
right.
So
It's
all of
about the
this.
dumbest questions. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a big side story, but it's important because I really lost myself for probably 3 years. I didn't know if I'd speak again. I hadn't started writing the first book yet. I didn't know how to keep him alive because he'd been in my business, but of course we'd been partners in every part, life, family, work, etc. And I'm just now, 7 years, just now not recovering, stitching together a new reality for how he shows up in my stories and in my work. So in the first book, he shows up as a friend. I talk about him as a friend because I still wanted him to be in the book, but I didn't want to get people sidetracked. Um, and so in the second book, he doesn't really show up as much, except for my son dedicates the book to mom and says, "Dad, you get the next book." Which is very sweet. So it's all affected my journey, but it's allowed me to be more brave than I would have been And it sounds trivial, but it's true. Like you just do what you need to do today because you don't know how long you have. But also because I know how proud he was of me. I think that's the other thing is like he was never, we were true partners. He was not at all, needing to be the gender roles or dominant, nothing. Like he just was the most precious, confident, steadfast person. And now that my children are 16 and 18, I see parts of him in them. That is such an amazing uh, frame of life or point of life to be in. And I'm grateful for that too.
I love that. Well, it sounds like your daughter is going down the same path as him during her internship, or was that just a one-time thing, or is she looking to study the same thing?
We'll see. We'll see. She might study chemistry. She really wanted to intern, I think, in dad's lab, but she's a science kid for sure. Science kid, something outside, and like me, like something outside. I can't be in a cubicle. Neither can she.
How much of your work now do you get to still do the science piece? Like I know you're a speaker and a leadership coach and a leadership, do all these things, you're living in that space, but how much of what you get to do now still brings you back to doing the science and working with the animals?
Well, all of it, I'd say, because thankfully I was always in the teaching and education part of being in the science realm. So I never worked directly with the animals other than that one internship when I tried and realized I wasn't good at it. So I was always in the running summer camps or teaching overnights or, doing some sort of keynote address basically alongside Jack Hanna at Busch Gardens. So
Oh, cool.
and so I pull it through because it's how I live, right? So it's like when I travel, I'm outside, I'm walking to my clients wherever I can. A lot of my clients, I love one client in Houston, they themed the entire breakfast meeting we had. And so they had a challenge for people to wear, you know, leopard print and crazy animal wear. So it's all still connected because it's who I am.
I love that. I think you're just incredible. I think, thank you, first of all, for sharing and getting, so real about the emotions that would happen through your journey and your past and what you're doing now to navigate forward. I think that your message will certainly resonate with other people who are probably navigating the same kind of thing or something similar in grief. I think when you mention people ask the dumbest things, I remember when we had our daughter, the first question people always ask you, when are you having another one? Me was not able to. Like I wasn't able to. Like it was like the hardest thing being a type A personality, being told I couldn't do something. So every time someone asked me, like I remember someone, I mean, they say the dumbest things. Like a friend of ours had had a baby and then she knew we couldn't have more kids. And so when I was like, oh, can I hold the newborn, whatever? She goes, oh, are your ovaries hurting? I'm like, who said that? Like, yeah, like, but not thinking, like they just,
No, I
people
know.
don't think. So I'm sure you've dealt with some stupid questions, some just really bad form. So yeah, thanks for sharing the question not to ask people. Hopefully you know that. So now like you've written this book with your kids and it's a leadership book there and then that space and it just launched. So everyone, we're gonna post about where they can buy it, how they can get
What's
it,
the name of
all
the
the good
book?
stuff.
Wisdom from the Wild is the first book, and the second one is Wisdom from the Wild for Youth. So I've got for you and for youth.
I love that. I think that's just absolutely
Are there
amazing.
are there pictures?
There are illustrations in the book, so I wanted people to understand this is what a naked mole rat looks like, or this is what a vampire bat looks like.
I just think it like, what is your craziest, wildest outside of
The gibbon on
the
the stomach.
gibbon on the stomach, which is just like I'm gonna never forget that picture. Like because you said that in the beginning, you're like, listen, when you relate it to animals, people hear those stories, they don't forget it. So first of all, the next time that I'm like at a zoo somewhere and I see a gibbon, I'm gonna be thinking of you.
That's the next book called Going Ape.
Yeah, right, right.
But you mentioned that you got to work with Jack Hanna. Did you ever meet Steve Irwin?
I never met Steve Irwin. No, I got to work alongside Julie Scardina, Jeannie Clark, Sylvia Earle. I've got to meet Jane Goodall.
Oh wow. What's your other craziest animal encounter that you may have had in your lifetime?
Oh gosh. What's the first thing that pops into my brain is when I lived for a time over in New Zealand, and then of course I spent a healthy amount of time in Australia as well. And what I remember distinctly is we get really set in what is around us and what we expect. So I can remember hiking through Australia and then hearing something next to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, is it a bear? Is it like, what am I doing? And then it was a kangaroo, right? Like they're just hopping by. I'm like,
which are like not nice animals from what I understand.
Well, yeah, well, what most animals aren't nice if you mess with them. So
Good point. Same with
same
humans. Same with
same route.
humans.
Yes, exactly. Same with people. I'll bite you too.
Yeah.
Does that animal bite? Yes, it has teeth. Did I bite? Sure. If you're gonna like, Uh, so and then I remember being in New Zealand and I went kayaking with my friends and penguins live in the southern hemisphere. Like legitimately, if you live north of the equator, you are never going to see a penguin in the wild, or it's really lost. So you're never going to see a penguin in the wild. So I remember kayaking with my friends, and it still gives me goosebumps. A penguin like swam up to my kayak, and I was like, "What? Ah, 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 ah!" And my friends were Kiwis, and they were like, "Yeah, yeah." No, 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 no. You don't even how can it's a penguin? And then there were like two penguins, and then all these penguins were swimming up to, I'm like,
So
I
cool.
can't even. And my Kiwi friends were like, yeah, and what that said in my brain is like, how many times have we in Florida walked along the
Oh,
beach
sure.
and
Yeah.
someone is like, and we're like, whatever. Yeah. And I was
I
like,
know.
I'm totally
Can I
taking,
give you a, Kiwi information question?
sure.
Why do they call the Tasmanian devil the devil? We found this out. We went to a zoo in New
They were
Zealand.
there. They were there last year.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So why?
Why?
You don't know? I got
Oh,
her. My
oh
new
no,
book.
did you want to tell me? Is that why you,
Yes. Did you not know?
well, but I want to hear what you have to say.
The the ears on the animal are almost translucent. So
Yeah.
when they're in the mild stuff, they appear to be red, like lights coming through. And when the British soldiers saw that, they said, "It's the devil! It's the devil!" Does that work? Yes.
That'll work. That's right. Yeah. Well, it's my daughter's name is Tasman.
Oh my God.
So,
Who knew? Who
so
knew?
that's what I was
After
wondering.
that, because of Tasmanian Devil.
No, she's Tasman from Abel Tasman, who was an explorer, and he named New Zealand New Zealand. He was part of that discovery adventure.
That's such a cool connection. I figured you had had something in you that was either like British or something because when I told you we were running late, you wrote back no dramas. I'm like, that is not an American statement. I'm like, and I was gonna add, and I just remembered it right now. I'm like, that is definitely not an American statement. That is 100% like Australian, New Zealand, English, something like that. I was like, yes, that is in your DNA. I mean, that's such a thing.
So many times. Yep. And yeah, things just stick with you.
My husband's English, so we pick up on a few things here or there of things. And we went and saw a comedian, Jimmy Carr. Do you know who that is? He's a comedian. He's a little what was the word you would describe him? A little off the cuff, little brass, little whatever. But what he does at the end of the show, he has people text, or during the show, you can text questions. And when he's bringing it up, we could totally tell who was British writing the question, who wasn't, just from the terminology and the different things they were writing. And it was really interesting. I'm like, oh, yeah, that person's British because not an American person would ever say that.
No, that
Yeah.
is for sure.
What a cool. Do you get the chance to travel now with your kids as well to all the cool places that you go? Like, do they come, like you went with your dad? Do they come with you ever?
Yeah, what's fun now is that with the book launch, we are doing an author side quest tour. And so we started at Florida Aquarium last week. There was a big conference, so we had 3,000 zoo and aquarium professionals. And so now we're going to different cities. We're starting at the cities that are meaningful to me. So we're going to go to Chicago, we're going to go to Cleveland, we're going to go to Austin, where my book publishing company is. And we're going to connect and do some things with leadership programs at zoos and aquariums. We're going to do some things with independent bookstores and then hopefully get into schools and some universities since they're all connected around youth, usually ages 15 to 20. So, oh, and we're going to do some things at airports because the book will be in airports starting next week. So some of the airport stores want to do some book signings. So that will be fun too. And I will tell you, it's fun that my kids, I said, y'all, like, people are going to want you to sign the books. And they're like, oh, okay. And now they're like, well, I mean, my daughter's signature, I was teasing her the other day. I'm like, Tasman, it's been like 2 weeks since we launched this book, and your signature has evolved to be this like giant thing. And so she's really proud of it. And then my son, who's an artist and is a clown literally in the circus. So his
Really?
uh-huh. Yeah, he's a clown in the sailor circus and unicyclist. And my daughter was a aerialist in the
No
circus.
way.
So
That's
that's in the book that we talk about leadership lessons from that perspective too. But he always draws a little clown face with his signature. So,
I
so they're having this like
love
this crazy. It's fun for them to realize. I'm really proud of this book from many reasons, but for many reasons, but from the standpoint of I'm excited to see how youth can help youth learn about leadership.
that.
Um, and we always, my daughter's the extrovert, and a lot of times we throw extroverts unwillingly or unknowingly under the bus, and we try to highlight the introverts, which I want to. That's my son. But the extroverts get tired of leading sometimes. They get looked to all the time to just absorb that role. And my daughter will talk about that just as often. So anyway, that's a part of what they're going to be able to experience is connecting with people like them.
I love that. So, where, if somebody wants to buy the books, both of them now, where do you prefer they shop? Because I want to support what you want them to support. Where do they go to your
You're
website?
so,
Do they
you're so
go? I
sweet.
don't want to say like the big A word unless that's where you want them to go. But where do you want them to shop for your book?
So I will say if they start on my website, which is juliechenry.com, then they have the opportunity to buy signed copies of the youth book and the adult book, as well as we have some different bundles right now. And we'll always have some kind of bundle, but since we just released the book around classroom sets, around sets for book clubs or leadership programs, like the chambers that I've worked with, they've done programs for the youth as well as adults. So they could start there. And then if they need different bulk orders, there's a lot of ways to get it from your independent bookstore, from your local zoo and aquarium. Amazon, you can, of course, shop on.
Will it
I'm,
be at the new Moat Marine Laboratory and Museum
yep,
here in Sarasota?
yep. They've had my adult book and now in fact, they just messaged me yesterday. We have all these books you need to come sign. So I'll be there as part of the opening festivities, helping to support that. And
How
then
do
there's
multiple,
an audiobook.
how do multiple authors decide who signs the book?
Oh, so it may not surprise you that my daughter, who's a very left brain, detail-oriented scientist, has designated spots for us on the page. And so we all have to sign in the right spots. And she gets very upset in a great way. So yeah, we all have our spots now.
I love that. I see us doing a book tour together in a few years because part of my book is a children's book as well too, but not 15. We're going younger. So
Oh,
my book will be for the younger age of kids, about ages probably like from like 7 to 12. So I see us collaborating and being on stages and just helping people around the world recognize that there's ways to show up that help you feel even better and the world needs it right now. So I love what you're doing. You're awesome. I look forward to our next in-person meeting, whether it's our first, I can't believe that we both don't remember, but but either way, you're
yeah.
just thank you for what you do because your message is just awesome. And I love that you share with us your backstory and then the middle story and then where you are now. One last question for you. What's on your like list of where you want to go next? Like where like you've done so many cool travels. Where's that place you haven't been outside of, working with the wolves? We're gonna send you the information that what my dad did. We're gonna get that for you. But where's something like what's next for you? What's the
She wants
big
to go
place?
back to the hammock.
Yeah, to that hammock. Yeah.
I have two hammocks in my house,
Oh,
actually.
there you go.
Um, Oh, if I could get on a plane right now, I would go to Norway and specifically above the Arctic Circle. I really want to go north in Norway. I'd love to go to Iceland. Those are the two places like right now I'd be there.
I love it. Well, Julie, we're so grateful that you took time to connect with us today in your busy schedule. Congratulations on your incredible new book with your kids. And it's Tasman. And then what's your son's name?
My son's name is Kepler, and he's named for Johannes Kepler, he was a German scientist. He was a contemporary of Galileo, and he actually proved Galileo wrong. Galileo was wrong about some things, and Kepler was right. So yeah, Johannes Kepler. So any listeners who have young people who study physics, or actually, you'll learn about Kepler.
So we got Tasman,
Yeah.
Kepler. How about the third child?
There isn't a third child. There's just two.
No, no third child. A bunch of cats, but
Maybe
no
there
third
should be.
child yet.
What are you talking about? Okay, speaking of not listening, we're gonna have a little coaching session
Listen, a
afterwards.
little nap does people good.
Oh my.
Not no third child yet, at least.
Yeah.
Kepler must have a nickname, no?
Kepler, I mean, I guess it's I call him Keplerito for actually I call him Osito, which means little bear in Spanish.
I love that. That's probably a whole other story there. Well, Julie, we appreciate you. Thank you so
Delight.
much. And we're just grateful and thank you for what you're putting out in the world because the world needs more of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you
Next
all.
time.
Thank
All right,
you.
we'll talk soon. Bye, Julie. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Mhm.
Bye. Oh my goodness. So amazing, right? Like she's
Everyone's got a
just
story.
they do. And like you never know where you're gonna go. I knew a little bit of her story, but I just love like the little lessons that she shared with us throughout the way about navigating grief, but also like going after your passion and kind of following your dreams and working with her dad. I love that part of the story that she gets to like work with her
Yeah,
dad
no, and
and
the caretaker role is very difficult because you're like the captain of the ship. If the caretaker goes down, everything falls apart,
yeah.
and it's the pressure's tremendous. But on a better note, so she's written a book about leadership now. You're doing one about younger people. So my
Yeah.
option is either I do neonatal wisdom in the womb, or nearly dead as wisdom on the other end of life.
You can talk about, well, mine's not really leadership. Mine's like all about getting unfunked, right? And like finding your place and finding your passion and finding your light
So mine's about getting funked.
well,
I'll get you funked if you get unfunked.
okay. Sure. Sounds good. Anyway, no, listener, we hope that you enjoyed our conversation with Julie. We certainly did. And go buy her book because it's incredible. I'm going to go on right now her website and buy both. And it's just, listen, we support each other in this world by supporting each other in this world. Whether your story is like Julie's or someone else's, the more we listen in, the more we lean in, the more we understand that we're all so different yet all really alike at the same time. That is where the beauty of life comes from. So thank you for listening to
And
this
this
episode.
podcast is like a box of chocolates.
Yeah,
You figure it out.
you never know what you're going to get.
Oh, why did she say that?
Have a great day,
It's the
listener.
Beyonce in there.
Oh, whatever.
Beyonce.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hey, thank you for tuning into today's What's Your Story podcast.
To learn more or share your story, go to jamiemarco.com. That's www.jamiemarco.com. And we will see you